Some breaking news, multi-Grammy award-winning producer, composer, and multimedia entrepreneur Quincy Jones has died.
And the 91-year-old
Quincy Delight Jones Jr., the legendary music producer, composer, and arranger, passed away on November 3, 2024, at the age of 91. He died peacefully at his home in Bel Air, Los Angeles, surrounded by his loved ones. His death has reverberated through the music world and beyond, marking the loss of one of the most influential figures in the history of entertainment. Throughout his life, Jones faced significant health challenges, including surviving 2 brain aneurysms in 1974, which required multiple surgeries. He also battled type 2 diabetes for many years and experienced a diabetic coma in 2015. Despite these obstacles, Jones remained a tireless force in the music industry, continuing to produce, compose, and inspire until his final days. His resilience in the face of adversity only deepened his legacy as a musical pioneer and cultural icon. Quincy Delight Jones Jr. was one of the most iconic figures in the history of music, spanning genres from jazz to pop, film scoring to orchestral arrangements. Born on March 14, 1933 in Chicago, Illinois, Jones became a leading figure in the music industry, not only as a groundbreaking composer, arranger, and producer, but also as a cultural ambassador whose work transcended borders and genres. His death on November 3, 2024, at the age of 91, marked the end of an era, leaving behind a legacy that will continue to influence musicians, producers, and composers for generations to come. Throughout his remarkable life, Jones achieved more than most could ever dream of. He won 28 Grammy Awards, produced Michael Jackson's Thriller, the best-selling album of all time, and collaborated with some of the most legendary figures in music history, including Frank Sinatra, Ray Charles, Miles Davis, and Aretha Franklin. But Jones's success wasn't just due to his extraordinary talent. It was also because of his ability to adapt, evolve, and stay relevant in an ever-changing industry. Despite facing numerous personal challenges, including 2 brain aneurysms, a long battle with diabetes, and occasional controversies, Jones remained active in music production and philanthropy until his passing. This report will offer a detailed overview of his early life, career, challenges, contributions, and lasting legacy. Early life and background. Quincy Jones's story begins in Chicago, where he was born to Quincy Delight Jones Sr. and Sarah Frances, née Wells. Jones's father was a semi-professional baseball player, while his mother was a maid and a homemaker. His parents separated when he was young, and he moved with his mother and siblings to Seattle, Washington, when he was just a child. It was in Seattle that Jones would begin to develop his passion for music. Raised in a neighborhood with a vibrant African-American community, Jones was exposed to various forms of music, from gospel and jazz to blues and pop. His early education in music began at the age of 12, when he learned to play the trumpet. He soon became enamored with jazz and began listening to big band records by legends like Count Basie and Duke Ellington, whom he later considered significant influences. At the age of 15, Jones faced a personal tragedy when he was nearly killed by a street gang in Seattle. The experience left him emotionally scarred but also determined to pursue a better life through music. He studied at Seattle University, where he earned a scholarship to the prestigious Berklee College of Music in Boston, though his financial struggles meant that he would eventually leave the program to start his professional career. Musical beginnings. The birth of a prodigy. Quincy Jones's professional music career took off in the mid-1950s. He moved to New York City, where he quickly gained recognition for his musical abilities. In 1951, at the age of 18, Jones was hired as a trumpet player for the Lionel Hampton Orchestra, one of the top big bands of the era. This early exposure to the music industry was formative, as Jones learned about the business and started to develop his unique approach to music. By the mid-1950s, Jones had already started composing and arranging for various artists. He became one of the first African Americans to work in the highly competitive world of music arranging, a field that was primarily dominated by white musicians at the time. His work with artists such as Ray Charles, with whom he collaborated on early jazz arrangements, cemented his reputation as a brilliant young talent. One of his early significant achievements was his collaboration with Frank Sinatra in 1959. As the arranger and conductor for Sinatra's album Sinatra and Strings, Jones demonstrated his skill for crafting sophisticated orchestral arrangements. His creative approach to blending jazz with orchestral music helped elevate Sinatra's career and broaden Jones's horizons as a musician, breaking into the industry. Early career milestones. The 1960s saw Quincy Jones shift from being a sideman to becoming a sought-after producer and composer. His work as a conductor, arranger, and producer began to attract widespread attention. In 1961, Jones made history when he became the first African American to sign a major recording contract with Mercury Records. His own albums, such as Quincy Plays for Pussycats, 1962, featured his growing prowess as both a musician and an innovative arranger. Jones's big break as a producer came in 1963 when he was hired to arrange and produce for the legendary singer Dinah Washington. He later went on to produce albums for a wide range of artists, including the likes of Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, and Sarah Vaughan. His ability to seamlessly blend jazz, pop, and classical music into cohesive and commercially successful projects helped establish him as one of the most influential producers of his generation. By the late 1960s, Jones expanded his work beyond the recording studio and ventured into film scoring. His score for the film In the Heat of the Night, 1967, earned him his first Academy Award nomination. This marked the beginning of a prolific career in film and television scoring, which would eventually result in many iconic soundtracks throughout the 1970s and beyond. A pioneer in jazz, innovations and achievements. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Jones remained at the forefront of jazz innovation. He became known not only for his arrangements and productions, but for his ability to push the boundaries of the genre itself. His 1969 album, Walking in Space, is a prime example of his adventurous spirit, blending jazz, funk, and orchestral elements in groundbreaking ways. His work with jazz legend Miles Davis is also noteworthy. Jones played an instrumental role in producing Davis's iconic album, Miles Ahead, 1957, which is considered one of the greatest jazz albums of all time. Their collaboration would continue throughout the years, with Jones arranging some of Davis's most memorable works. One of Jones's most significant contributions to jazz was his orchestral approach to the genre. His ability to merge the improvisational freedom of jazz with the discipline of classical composition resulted in some of the most intricate and innovative arrangements ever produced. Jones became an in-demand conductor for jazz ensembles and orchestras around the world, and his influence extended far beyond the United States. The Thriller era, Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson. Perhaps the most significant and commercially successful chapter in Quincy Jones's career came in the 1980s with his collaboration with Michael Jackson. In 1982, Jones produced Thriller, the album that would go on to become the best-selling album of all time, with over 66 million copies sold worldwide. The album's success catapulted both Jackson and Jones into global superstardom. Jones not only produced the album, but also played a pivotal role in shaping Jackson's sound and image. With hit singles like Billie Jean, Beat It, and the title track Thriller, Jones demonstrated his ability to blend various musical genres, including pop, rock, and funk, into a cohesive and marketable album that resonated with audiences worldwide. Thriller became a cultural phenomenon, and Jones's contribution to its success was undeniable. Their partnership continued with the release of Bad, 1987, which solidified Jones's reputation as one of the most successful music producers of the 20th century. The Jackson-Jones collaboration marked a golden era in pop music and is often cited as one of the most important relationships in the history of popular music. The power of collaboration. Jones as a producer and mentor. Throughout his career, Quincy Jones was not only a prolific producer, but also a mentor to countless artists. His influence as a producer extended to a wide array of genres and musicians, including Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Frank Sinatra, and countless others. His approach to producing was one of collaboration, with Jones often allowing artists the freedom to express themselves while guiding them with his vast knowledge and musical insight. Jones's ability to identify and nurture talent was a key factor in his long-lasting success. He helped launch the careers of many iconic artists, including Patti Austin, Tevin Campbell, and Chaka Khan. He also played an instrumental role in bringing together diverse talents to collaborate on projects like We Are the World, 1985, a charity single featuring many of the biggest stars of the time, which raised millions for African famine relief, health challenges, overcoming personal struggles. Quincy Jones's life was not without personal challenges. In 1974, he survived 2 brain aneurysms, which required multiple surgeries and left him with a lengthy recovery process. This traumatic experience had a profound effect on Jones's outlook on life, leading him to reevaluate his priorities and develop a deeper appreciation for his health and well-being. In 2015, Jones faced another health scare when he fell into a diabetic coma, the result of years of managing type 2 diabetes. Despite these health setbacks, Jones remained active and determined to continue his work in music. His resilience and positive attitude in the face of adversity became an integral part of his identity and legacy. He often spoke about the importance of perseverance and staying true to one's passion, regardless of the obstacles life throws at you. Personal life and relationships. Quincy Jones's personal life was as complex and multifaceted as his career. He was married 3 times. First, to Jerry Caldwell, 1957 to 1966. Then, to Ulla Anderson, 1967 to 1974. And later to Peggy Lipton, 1974 to 1990. His relationship with Lipton, a former Mod Squad actress, was one of the most publicized in his life, and they had 2 daughters, Kidada and Rashida Jones, both of whom would go on to have successful careers in the entertainment industry. Jones was known for his wide circle of celebrity friends, including people like Stevie Wonder, Barbra Streisand, and Bill Cosby. His friendships and collaborations often extended beyond music, contributing to his status as a cultural figure. However, his personal life was also marked by some controversy, including his very public splits with his wives and romantic entanglements with several high-profile women, controversies and rumors. Navigating the public spotlight. Like many public figures, Quincy Jones was not immune to controversy. Over the years, he was involved in several publicized rumors, most notably about his relationships with celebrities and his own health. He was also vocal about issues surrounding race and politics, which sometimes led to tensions within the industry. In 2018, Jones caused a stir when he made controversial statements about the music industry and some of his former collaborators, including Michael Jackson. He was criticized by some for speaking candidly about the personalities and practices behind some of the biggest moments in his career, including his remark that Jackson had stolen aspects of his music. However, Jones clarified that he had meant no disrespect to Jackson and that their collaboration had been mutually beneficial. Later years, resilience and continued influence. In his later years, Quincy Jones remained a vital force in the music world, even as he faced significant health challenges. he continued to produce music, collaborate with younger artists, and remain active in philanthropic endeavors. In 2018, Jones was awarded the prestigious Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, cementing his status as one of the most influential figures in the history of popular music. Despite his health setbacks, Jones continued to work, mentoring young musicians and speaking about the need for diversity and inclusion in the music industry. His resilience, even in the face of personal struggles, made him a symbol of perseverance and passion. Legacy: the enduring impact of Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones's legacy is nothing short of monumental. He was a musical innovator, a trailblazer, and a mentor whose influence can still be felt across all genres of music. From jazz to pop, film scores to orchestral compositions, his vast body of work remains a testament to his genius. Jones's ability to innovate, collaborate, and mentor shaped the sound of popular music for over 6 decades. His work, particularly with artists like Michael Jackson, changed the landscape of the music industry and set new standards for production, collaboration, and creativity. Even in his later years, Quincy Jones remained an active participant in the music world, always pushing boundaries and inspiring new generations of musicians. His passing in 2024 marks the end of a legendary chapter in music history, but his influence and contributions will continue to inspire for years to come. Controversy and public scrutiny. The Vulture interview and the Michael Jackson legacy. Quincy Jones's larger-than-life persona has often placed him at the center of public scrutiny, especially when it comes to his candid and sometimes provocative remarks. One of the most talked-about instances of this occurred in a 2018 interview with Vulture, where Jones made a series of bold statements that ignited a media firestorm. Among the most controversial was his claim that Michael Jackson had stolen elements of his music and questioned the extent of Jackson's songwriting abilities. Jones's comments about Jackson were particularly shocking to many because of their long and fruitful collaboration, most notably on Thriller, 1982, the best-selling album of all time. In the interview, Jones suggested that Jackson had not written some of the most famous songs attributed to him, including Billie Jean and Beat It, and that the King of Pop had borrowed ideas from other artists. Jones also made critical remarks about Jackson's personality and the way he managed his career, calling into question some of the truths behind Jackson's public persona. Redefining pop production, Billie Jean, and the New Standard. One of the standout tracks on Thriller was Billie Jean, which became an instant classic and redefined pop music production. The song's distinctive bass line, courtesy of Louis Johnson, became one of the most recognizable in pop history. But it wasn't just the bass line that set Billie Jean apart. The track's rhythmic intricacy, combined with Jones's tight arrangements, created a sound that was unlike anything heard in mainstream pop at the time. The use of layered percussion, synthesized elements, and Jackson's smooth yet powerful vocals created a track that was both innovative and accessible. Billie Jean also showcased Jones's ability to push boundaries in the studio while maintaining a commercial appeal. The song was a perfect blend of groove and pop sensibility, with Jackson's unforgettable vocal delivery and an infectious beat that made it impossible for listeners not to move. This track became the standard for pop music production in the 1980s, influencing artists in the years that followed and cementing Jackson's place as a global superstar. Bridging genres, Beat It, and the rock-pop fusion. Another groundbreaking moment on Thriller was Beat It, a track that fused rock and pop in a way that had never been done before. The song featured an iconic guitar solo from Eddie Van Halen, marking one of the first major collaborations between rock and pop music. This collaboration was instrumental in bridging the gap between these two genres, creating a crossover that was both commercially successful and critically acclaimed. The mwananimanga forpenhaik anonsa nabonu were not kushta musical innovation. It was a mini cultural moment. Thriller brought together fans of both genres, showing that music could be a unifying force, transcending traditional genre lines. Jackson's magnetic stage presence, combined with the heavy influence of Van Halen's guitar work, turned Beat It into a classic that resonated across multiple audiences. This fusion of rock and pop became a hallmark of the 1980s music scene and set the stage for future cross-genre collaborations that would become more commonplace in the years to follow. Timeless production, capturing the zeitgeist of the 1980s. The production of Thriller was a masterclass in creating a sound that was both of its time and timeless. Quincy Jones captured the essence of the 1980s, an era defined by high-energy pop, synthesizers, and an emerging global pop culture, while crafting songs that would endure long after the decade had passed. The album's use of technology, such as the Fairlight CMI synthesizer, was groundbreaking for its time. Jones combined these new technologies with live instrumentation, creating a dynamic and layered sound that was both futuristic and grounded in traditional pop structures. The influence of Thriller extended beyond music. It became a cultural phenomenon. The music videos, particularly for Thriller and Billie Jean, became iconic representations of 1980s pop culture. The Thriller video, in particular, redefined the music video format, transforming it into an art form and a storytelling medium that was capable of creating an entire narrative. Jones's partnership with Jackson extended into the visual realm, and together, they revolutionized the way music was consumed, giving rise to the era of MTV and the music video age. The globalization of Michael Jackson's sound. One of the most significant cultural shifts brought on by Thriller was the way it globalized Michael Jackson's music. While Jackson had already found success in the United States with previous albums, Thriller broke barriers and made him a household name worldwide. Jones's production was instrumental in crafting a sound that appealed to international audiences. The album's blend of pop, rock, R&B, and even elements of funk and jazz gave it a broad appeal that transcended cultural and national boundaries. Tracks like "Wanna Be Startin' Somethin' combined Afrobeat rhythms with pop sensibilities, while "The Girl Is Mine" featured a lighthearted pop R&B collaboration with Paul McCartney, expanding Jackson's reach into the mainstream pop market. Thriller was a testament to the power of music as a universal language, and Jones' production played a crucial role in making Jackson a global icon who could transcend the American music scene and become a symbol of worldwide pop culture. The legacy of Thriller and Quincy Jones's role. Thriller remains a touchstone in the history of popular music, a record that transformed not only the career of Michael Jackson, but also the entire pop music landscape. Jones's genius as a producer lay in his ability to bring out the best in Jackson, molding a sound that was both artistically innovative and commercially viable. Together, they created an album that continues to resonate with listeners across generations, making Thriller not just a product of its time, but a timeless piece of musical artistry. The success of Thriller also established Quincy Jones as one of the most important and influential producers in the history of popular music. His ability to balance creative risk with mainstream appeal was pivotal in crafting the album's sound. And his visionary approach to production set new standards for the industry. Jones's impact on Thriller, and on music in general, can still be felt in the work of today's pop stars, who continue to look to Jackson's groundbreaking work as a model for blending genres, pushing technological boundaries, and creating music that connects with global audiences.